That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. Here we continue Grant Morrison's Justice League with Rock of Ages. I love the way I time things. Avengers comes out next week, and I'll be sitting here talking about more Justice League next week. Oh, I don't pay attention to trends, and that's probably why I only have like 1,400 subscribers. But you know what? I love all of you equally. Anyway, so JLA Rock of Ages is, for my money, the hands down best Justice League story. This is the gold standard of Justice League. And of course, it's written by Grant Morrison. This does shit that is just fucking unbelievably cool. Because, like, you think, okay, Justice League villains. Obviously, Darkseid and the new gods and forces of Apocalypse come to mind. The other thing that comes to mind is, like, an evil version of the Justice League, which we get in here as well. And then the other thing that comes to mind is the villains from each member of the Justice League teaming up together. And so those are like three really popular things to do for antagonists for the Justice League. A threat so big that it requires not one of these heroes, but all of them to defeat it. And, you know, these are episodes of the Justice League animated series, right? You have the Justice Lords episodes where you have an evil version of the Justice League for them to deal with. You have the like, multiple Darkseid stories that happen in that show, which are, you know, big Darkseid scary threats. And then, of course, you have the entire, like, final season of Justice League Unlimited was all about the Injustice Guild, the Legion of Doom. Like, that was, those are those premises, right? Those are all those premises. So in Rock of Ages, you get each of those stories. And it's all one big story. You have each of those antagonists, each of those like really popular plots all condensed into one amazingly epic Justice League story. And that should be a fucking mess. And it's not. And that's great. That's what I really love about this. This, by all stretches of the imagination, should be a complete fucking train wreck. Because you have an evil version of the Justice League commanded by the Injustice Gang, and right in the middle of all of it, an evil Darkseid threat happens. It just shouldn't work, but it does. So yeah, what this begins with is this, like, chaos-causing evil version of the Justice League is created. And to cut right to the chase on it, it's created by the Injustice Gang. It's created because Lex Luthor is smart enough to recruit Mirror Master and Dr. Light, who are villains for different members of the League, respectively, and get them to combine their powers to create these programmable, hologram, blah, 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 evil Justice League. And so the first chapter is the Justice League fighting evil versions of themselves. And that's really cool, and it's fun, and it's neat. It plays really well, you know? And it's just really interesting. And so then the rest of the story arc is beginning as Lex Luthor's in control of a new version of the Injustice Gang. And Lex Luthor's evil plot this time was not to use the evil version of the Justice League to destroy the Justice League. It was to get information about how they worked as a team from the inside. To poke at them and really start to understand the internal workings of their team, so he would know how to break it down. And it's really brilliant the way in which he goes about that, and this kind of shows the genius of Grant Morrison, Lex Luthor's plan to destroy the Justice League is the same thing that a businessman would use in implementing a hostile takeover. Man, yeah, and prepare for the corporate takeover of the Justice League. Like, that's really, really good. It's really cool. It works really well. And so, yeah, you just have Lex Luthor and the Injustice Gang, and he's got this genius plan to destroy the Justice League by separating them and making them, like, spread their assets too thin and stuff. And so it's just all kinds of craziness happening. And that's really cool. So Superman and John are trapped in a hologram of the Injustice Gang's satellite, and they have to find a way to get out of it. And the hologram's being manipulated and controlled directly by the thought patterns of the Joker. So it's just like in this panel here, this fucking infinite cave of incomprehensible madness. And so they're trapped and they don't know what they're going to do. They don't know how they're going to get out. And Martian Manhunter shapeshifts his brain so that he can think like the Joker. And so once he does that, he's able to see the pathway through all the chaos. And that's... God, that is so fucking trippily cool idea that only Grant Morrison could come up with. And he sends Cersei to try to, recruit Connor and Kyle, because they're the newer, fresh blood on the team, and they're the most likely to betray it based on, finding stuff out about it. But meanwhile, Lex Luthor's doing all this crazy stuff because he has control of an alien with the use of the Philosopher's Stone. And that's what causes Metron to show up, and there's this whole thing about Metron. We need to find the Philosopher's Stone. He doesn't, and yet they don't know that Lex Luthor has it. And so Flash, Aquaman, and Green Lantern go off to deal with this cosmic quest now. And there's all kinds of craziness as they search the universe for the Philosopher's Stone and realize that Metron tricked them and sent them halfway across sent them to the other end of the universe, this place called Wonderworld, where everyone's a fucking giant and the cosmic stakes are higher than they could ever be. As Lex Luthor, meanwhile, back on Earth, though, Lex Luthor and the Injustice Gang are seemingly continue to press the advantage and really take things over in a bad way, transporting nuclear missiles onto the Watchtower that are armed to go off in 4 minutes. It's kind of craziness. And so, Flash and Aquaman and Green Lantern are stuck out at the other end of the galaxy, and they need to find a way to travel back home. I love the speech that Aquaman gives. You people are fighting battles on a scale we barely understand. If you won't help us, then send us back home to defend our own world. Don't tell me it's not possible. And the guy's like, beware of the rise of Anti-Sun, Magedon. Prepare the armies of man. Tell them Wonderworld stands ready against the terrible day that comes. That's pretty good. Oh, so anyway, the Flash gets them onto this, kind of crazy contraption, cosmic treadmill looking thing, to try to run them back to the other end of the universe and get them home. But then there's the stuff with the corporate takeover still, and Batman, being Bruce Wayne, is a businessman, so he understands the concept of the corporate takeover and recognizes those strategies being used against his company, the Justice League, so he's able to subvert it by, attacking it from within and buying out someone who is Mirror Master, who's a mercenary, so he pays him a higher price. That was pretty good. He pays him a higher price, but not like, here's money, now work for me, because then it's just a, buyback game with Luther. The money's gone into a restoration fund for the orphanage where McCullough grew up. Never underestimate the sentimentality of a Scotsman, Clark. I love it. It's beautiful. Anyway, so, Flash runs them all the way back to Earth, but they realize that they arrived at the wrong time, because they get to Earth and it's been overrun and is now under the control of Darkseid. And so here's where the Darkseid stuff comes in. Flash, Green Lantern, and Aquaman have arrived on Earth 15 years too late, and Darkseid has completely taken over the planet. And this all is the result of Superman destroying the Philosopher's Stone, which we haven't seen happen yet. So it's got this weird timey-turny stuff. But just look at this is where Darkseid comes from, by the way, for those of you that like Mr. Miracle. This is where that comes from, is Rock of Ages. And just shows you how fucking scary Darkseid is. So in this 2 issues, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and the Flash have to use their knowledge to try to retake the Earth, get back in time, and stop all this evil from happening. And you get some of just the best fucking Darkseid dialogue in this. There's one point in which we just listen into a conversation between Darkseid and Desaad. New Genesis is a stinking cosmic sewer. I have fouled paradise beyond repair and broken in the mire the shining cities of the gods. I have won. Is this vanity? Then I will remake the entire universe in the image of my soul, Desaad. And when at last I turn to look upon the eternal desolation I have wrought, I will see Darkseid as in a mirror and know what fear is. And I love that he gives that speech as he crushes the last flower on New Genesis after he's already conquered that too. Oh my god. It's some of the best fucking dialogue. So the ragtag remnants of the Justice League in the future put this whole mission together to try to defeat Desaad and hopefully take back some part of the Earth before Darkseid arrives. And they get there and find out that Batman's already defeated Desaad and has been posing as him for the last couple months to figure out what Darkseid's planning. He goes, he wants to build a global concentration camp. That's really cool. I love the way Batman defeated Desaad. He's with me. Alright, yeah. 8 years. 4 of them in Desaad's psychofuge, experiencing all the physical and emotional pain of his victims. It ended 2 months ago. Battle of wits. I won. Very Batman line. Too good. Too good to be true. But anyway, you just get some really great Darkseid moments. I love this Glorious Godfrey bit. On your knees for the Master. The hour has come. He has come. Who is beyond good and evil? Who is the prophet of anti-life? Who is the rock and the chain and the lightning? All powerful, all unforgiven, all conquering. Who is your new god now and forever? Darkseid is. It's too good, man. It's too good. It's such a good moment. And then the second issue is the Justice League trying to save the day, trying to defeat Darkseid and be able to send Aquaman and everyone back in time to make sure this world never happened. And I don't, it's all cool and interesting, but I just want to gush over some of the great Darkseid lines in here. My will is absolute. Yes, let me die for Darkseid. Please let me die for Darkseid. See what I have made. Imagine what is yet to come. I take away their confusion and give them obedience. I take away their fear of themselves and give them fear of Darkseid. I have liberated them from the chaos of indecision. I've given them one path, straight direction, one clear purpose, one goal: to die for Darkseid. As just Metropolis lays in ruin. It's so good. So good, y'all. Oh, man. So anyways, Justice League shows up to confront Darkseid and fight him and try to save the day at the last possible minute. And Green Arrow and the Atom are kind of the reserves. Batman tricks Metron. I love this. So Metron is under the influence of Darkseid and working for him. But Batman and the others come up to Metron in kind of the chaos and say, we have one piece of knowledge that we want to pass on to you before it dies with our race. And Metron's like, what could it possibly be? And he goes, God, you're a god. Gods don't feel, but humans do. You possess the power to become human for a brief time and record what it is like to feel, which you've never done. This is knowledge that you don't have. So become human, and you will have this knowledge. Metron's like, fine. There, I am made flesh and blood. Is this weight, this ceaseless particle movement, is this all? What is feeling that I should consider it worthy of record? And Batman's like, well, one hitter quitter, bitch. It's so good. Oh my god, I love it so much. Do you see why I love this story so much? It's so perfect. So anyways, he pumps Metron full of drugs, and that way Aquaman and the others can go back in time, but there's still all the chaos going on right now to deal with. And I love this moment where Batman throws an exploding Batarang at Darkseid and just gets caught by his protective shield like it would have done anything anyway. And he relays one quick message to the Atom and Green Arrow and tells him, hey, he's got a shield, but he can see. But it's Batman left alone with Darkseid in a room surrounded by parademons, and Darkseid's like, you overcame Desaad, do I know you? We've shared a few laughs. Everything you know, everything you own, I'm taking it all. Look up. And then part of their mission is to destroy this factory to create zombies for Darkseid on the moon. And Darkseid looks up, no, my zombie factory. You're all alone, Darkseid. Your allies have all fallen. Your troops have no guidance. How small you are. Yet, you have hurt me. I respect that. Therefore, let me show you mercy. Those are merely the finder beams. Next comes the Omega effect. And I love Batman's fucking go outline. You want to know why you're surrounded by all these maggots, Darkseid? Because you did what you said you'd do. You created the whole world in your image. And what you see in them is your own ugly face. Batman gets Omega beamed. And that's when Ray and Green Arrow show up, and they're left looking at Darkseid, and the Atom comes to the conclusion that since Darkseid can see, one thing can get through his force field. And he has Connor shoot the flare arrow. And the Atom becomes a photon, gets inside Darkseid's iris, and makes his way to Darkseid's brain. He's able to destroy it from inside. And so you get this amazing Darkseid story that's just an offshoot tangent part of this Injustice Gang story that had an offshoot tangent part of an evil Justice League story. It all kind of winds back, and so Arthur and the others get back in time to save the universe, but we still have the conclusion of what was going to make Superman destroy the Philosopher's Stone. It turns out Lex Luthor's got the Philosopher's Stone. And so you have like the whole gambit of everything going on with Superman and the Injustice Gang and all this stuff as it's like this chess match, one-upsmanship back and forth of like, I planned for this, well I planned for this, as the Justice League fights the Injustice Gang. It's so cool. It's so perfectly awesome. And it's just, it's beautiful and I love it, and it's beautiful and I love it. And then just as Superman's about to crush the stone, Martian Manhunter gets a hold of it because he got a mental signal from Kyle. This is the only way to stop it from being destroyed. And he saw the awfulness that was about to happen if Superman destroyed the Philosopher's Stone. So they all get back to the Justice League Watchtower in time, and they've got the Philosopher's Stone, and they hand it back to the not evil Metron. But then he realizes it's not the real thing, and we get this final beautiful twist of it all, where it turns out the Joker has the Philosopher's Stone. He copped it from Lex at the last possible minute, and he's using it to remake the world in his image. Massive seismic disturbances, tectonic plate upheaval, weather patterns going out of control. As Joker says, a 10,000-mile long grin from South America to Asia Minor. He's literally splitting the earth apart to create a giant smile on the thing. And he has this stone. He's making his will manifest absolutely. Martian Manhunter comes up with the brilliant idea to telepathically connect with the Joker and repress the thoughts of insanity, to make the Joker rational for a brief moment. And as he's doing it, he's having the most difficult time. I'm making him sane, but I can't hold it for long. His mind is like a raging storm. And I love the Joker in this. Why can't I think of what have I been doing with my life? I've been insane. Oh my God, what have I done? Superman's, Joker, please give me the stone. You could do irreparable damage. Terrible. I've done terrible things. I have to do something right. I have to fix it. And Lex tells the Joker to use the stone to help save the lives of everyone lost in this whole book. And then you get just this really cool moment of the Joker sitting there. It's like he saves lives. He's like, it's done. All alive. They never died. It's done. I think I need help. And then John goes, I have to let go. It's impossible to hold him together any longer. And so then the Joker's released and immediately goes back to madness. God, what a story. What just a perfect story for the Justice League, man. I absolutely adore this. It's so good, though. It's so fucking good. And then it kind of all ties back up, and there's all this cosmic stuff happening, and then there's this big decision at the end that they're disbanding the Justice League of America, and that's going to tie into the next arc, which I'm excited for. But just, this is the gold standard of Justice League stories. There's nothing better than this in Justice League. As far as I'm concerned, nothing's going to be a better Justice League story than this. I want to talk about the art briefly because, again, it is very 90s art. There's no getting away from that part. I talked about it earlier tonight on the live show where you can show me a comic and I can look at the art style. I can tell you the decade. There's no questioning this is the 90s, man. No question whatsoever, but that's okay. So if you can learn to love 90s art, you'll be fine. If you really, really despise 90s art, fucking deal with it anyway and read this great Justice League story. Volume 3 of Grant Morrison's Justice League, Rock of Ages, the gold standard of Justice League stories. If they ever want to adapt another Justice League movie from stuff in the comics, Rock of Ages. Just word for, like, panel for panel to screen, adapt it. Maybe get rid of stupid electric blue Superman's costume. I'd be okay with that, but otherwise just fucking straight off the page. It's so good. The one thing I didn't talk about, Aztec is in the Justice League in this, and this is the only arc where he's in the Justice League. I don't know much about him. This is the only thing I know Aztec from, but I believe he is a Grant Morrison character, if I'm not mistaken. I'm definitely curious to know more about Aztec and whatever happened to him, because he's written really well in here, but I mean, it's Grant Morrison, everyone's written really well. But yeah, Aztec's in this, and then he's gone by the end of it. He decides to leave the Justice League at the very end for reasons that come up in the book, but just something worth noting. This is like where you begin to see some of the odd symptoms of just everybody has to deal with this when writing Justice League. I think Morrison manages it the best because, like, technically in this volume, Wonder Woman's dead, but Wonder Woman still gets to play a part in the dark side, alternate future. She's alive in that, and she gets to play a part in that story, and she's really cool there. But in the present day stuff, Wonder Woman's dead, because in continuity at the time, Wonder Woman died. And then once we get to the next volume, and I believe Wonder Woman's there, it's actually Hippolyta that's Wonder Woman at the time. And then, of course, the other, like, very obviously 90s thing is the fact that we got, Electric Superman. So it's dealing with just the crazy continuity stuff that you just have to deal with when you're writing Justice League, if you want it to feel like it's actually current. Whatever. Just whatever. It's not distractingly bad. You can pretty much ignore, once Wonder Woman comes back and it's Hippolyta, you can pretty much ignore that it's Hippolyta. He writes her just like Wonder Woman, so it's fine. Anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode of Trade Talk. Everyone, thanks very much for watching. Until next time, bye.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.